Hey everybody, this is Travis from NLPT. I have Jeremy and Chuck on the line, and we are going to tackle telemedicine. So we've had a lot of requests for this. There's been obviously a lot of buzz around this recently as a way that it can kind of solve a couple problems in your practice, especially with what's going on right now. So at the top here, I'm going to give you a disclaimer. We are not telehealth experts. We only play them on Facebook. Everything, like most of the advice we've been giving you, from legal advice to HR advice to telehealth advice to insurance, all goes to the state level. So, and we'll explain today how different it is from state to state. But the most important thing is to have constant contact, especially with your Medicare rep. If you have one of those, we call ours almost every day just to check in to see what's going on. But also reps at all your other insurance providers that you work with is going to be really, really important, because this does vary drastically from state to state. So telehealth, for some people who we've talked to, our clients are already implementing this and doing it already. Some people are just kind of wondering, is it worth doing it, or do I have the capability to do it? I'm not really tech savvy, so can I really do this? We want to try to go over is like, why would you do this? So right now, we don't know what's going to happen. We're hoping this is a short-term thing. It might not be. So this might be what your practice looks like for a short or long-term kind of period of time. So I think doing something and taking some action is better than not doing it. And just on this call right here, each of us have kind of varying plans on what we're doing with telehealth, but we're all doing something. And I think hopefully after you watch the video, it will be less intimidating in terms of what you need to do. And we're hoping to show that pretty much anybody that has a PT practice right now can get some form of this in place in their practice. So just from the standpoint of, you don't know what's going to come, you might as well do it. I think it's good public relations. So for us, we even just kind of put a post out on our social media, say, hey, would anybody be interested in that? And initially, I thought there wouldn't be a ton of interest for it, but there actually was a lot, especially with our Medicare population. So I think it's good, a good kind of thing to do for your patients, for your referral sources as well, to let them know that you're doing this and trying to do something instead of just throwing up your hands and saying, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm a physical therapy clinic. I think also just to kind of keep in contact with your patients, in terms of, some of them are like, hey man, I'm not going out of my house until they tell me I can, which is fine. Some of them are doing a mix of that. And then there's some people that I talk to in the community that think this thing is no big deal and they're just doing everything the way that they want to. I'm not here to tell you which way is the right way. I'm telling you there's going to be varying levels of that in your patient population. So just keeping in front of your patients is really important. Keeping in contact with your referral partners. So this is just another way to separate yourself from the myriad of other PT providers that are in your area. I think it keeps your staff focused, and Chuck said this a couple minutes ago, and just kind of gets them doing something. If people are left with uncertainty and they just don't know what to do, that their minds will typically go to like the worst case scenario. So just kind of getting them focused on stuff. And I have a call with my team after we get off here just to kind of finalize our plan for telehealth and what everybody's roles are, and just getting everybody to do their job and getting focused on that instead of focused on what's going on in the news right now. It does create some income. We've talked about this on other calls. This isn't going to be saving your practice. If you're used to getting $100 a visit, and you're going to drop down to what we're going to talk about with, depending on what you want to do, 30-minute visits, once every 7 days, that's not going to bring in a huge source of income, but it does create some income and kind of provides some hope to your staff. And we don't know. This might be an extra feature that separates you from your competition. I know one of the things that we do in our practice is we really try to get them to that graduation visit. And some people will be like, hey man, I'm feeling great, or they'll fall off their plan of care, and we'll call them up, oh sorry, I just got busy, I'm feeling so good, I didn't think I needed physical therapy anymore. And we'll say, hey, just come in for your final visit. We don't like to call them discharges, we don't like to say we discharge anybody, but your graduation visit, we want to make sure you're getting the exercises that you're supposed to be doing at home. We have other services that we sell on the back end of that we want to give them the opportunity to see. And a lot of times people say, you know what, I'm doing great, I'm just busy. It's like, okay, why don't you just hop on a call and we can do a telehealth visit? And they'll be like, oh, what's that? It's like, oh yeah, I can work around your schedule. I just want to go over your exercises. You don't have to come in, super easy, and you can still get revenue from that ad and have an opportunity to sell back-end services. So guys, anything to add to like why we would be doing telehealth?
I just want to say that with this change in the way that we're having to think about our practices, there's some opportunities out there that people may not think about. So if you do internet marketing or email marketing right now, this is a great opportunity to improve your value, improve your list, and improve your open rates. Because if you can over communicate right now with your patients, then you can get them used to opening your emails so that when you do open the doors again, now you've delivered so much value to them that they keep looking for what you have. And even if somebody doesn't want to switch over to that telehealth model with you, you can still make sure that they're opening your emails and you can deliver value to them while they're stuck at home. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and I think continuing to stay in communication with your past patients like that is important. So when that barrier of coming out of my house and going and doing the things that I normally do becomes small enough for them to want to return, then you've been top of mind and they come back. Just like any promotion, when you're promoting something, there's a period after which they respond. So if you stop all of your promotion and everything comes to a grinding halt, and then the barrier passes and it's time to go, you don't have that inertia. You've got to start that promo machine back up again, and you don't want to be losing that valuable time, because there's going to be a big surge when all this passes, all those elective procedures and all those things that people want to do, they're going to be coming back. So you've got to be top of mind and ready for them to return.
Yeah, and I think I'm going into this not even looking for like a certain goal for number of visits or how much revenue I'm supposed to get from this. I'm just doing it to do it. So I don't know about you guys, but I haven't seen any other information from other physical therapy practices around me, including the large providers of physical therapy that are offering these services. So if we're kind of putting information out there about what we're able to do and it separates us from other people, I think that's super valuable as well, and especially with my referral sources. So if they're seeing that, if I don't get very many people that are interested in this, I'm okay with that. I think just what Chuck said is perfect. Just keeping front of mind of people is really important, because when this stuff kind of gets turned back on, you want to make sure that they remember that you're still around. So the next thing we'll go over here, the situation I have the most clarity on right now is for Medicare, because it's a federal payer. So I have the most information about this, and it's going to be universal no matter who's listening to this. That's a physical therapy provider. It's going to be universal. Once we get into commercial, then everything kind of gets thrown out the window. But basically the bare bones of this is PTs will be able to bill for telehealth for Medicare patients starting at $320. So guess what? If you're watching this, it's already past $320. So you can do this right now if you want to. The billing is going to be based on a single unit code. So you're not going to be able to bill your 97 code. So you're not going to be able to bill like therapeutic exercise, therapeutic activity. That's not how this is going to work. You're going to get one code to bill, and you're going to be able to bill it over a 7-day period. So they're based on time, right? So reimbursement rates are as follows. And I'll make this available to you guys in the Facebook page. But basically, what we're shooting for is a 30-minute visit. So just to kind of speed this up, is in 30 minutes, you're going to bill, if it's anything over 21 minutes, G2063, and that's going to get reimbursed at about $33. So that's the basics of this. Other things you need to know is new patients will not be covered. So you can't have a patient that says, oh yeah, I just hurt my back and I'm interested in a telehealth thing. Can I get started with an evaluation? You can't do that. So what our strategy has been is you need to come in for your initial evaluation to our physical location. Again, we're still open. That might not be applicable to everybody, but come in for your initial evaluation, and then you can do telehealth after that. And we have certain scheduling things where it's just completely one-on-one. We're not exceeding 10 people in our office at any time. We're still doing the social distancing, all the stuff that we have been suggested to do based on our state and local governments, but they do need to come in for that evaluation. Then they can transition to telehealth after that. Medicare deductibles and coinsurances still apply, so make sure that you guys are letting patients know about that. Secondary insurances will pick up that extra 20%. So as you know, Medicare is 80-20. Secondary insurances, no matter what the payer is going to be forced to comply with picking up that extra 20%. The G codes, so these are only once every 7 days. And there's been different talk about that in terms of splitting that up. And Chuck, do you want to talk about that a little bit in terms of our strategy is we're gonna do a 30-minute visit once every 7 days, but there's different ways you can do that. So go ahead, Chuck.
So with regard to Medicare, and there are terms of telehealth and e-visits, and with Medicare, it's actually for physical therapy, it's going to be an e-visit. And that is a bill that you can submit once every 7 days. Now, we're still doing a little investigation on this, so there are a couple of things that are still just a little gray that we're going to get with some experts to get some more clarity on. One of them is with regard to being an existing patient. The verbiage is that you have already have some sort of relationship with the patient. So whether they're actively a current patient kind of remains to be seen. We're going to have to figure out what that definition of an existing relationship with the patient is. And kind of in those same lines with regard to how often you can code this, because you can only submit once every 7 days, it's my understanding that that doesn't have to be an individual call. You could do 3 8-minute calls with the patient over the course of those 7 days. That would add up beyond that. Travis, what's the visit?
21 minutes.
21 minutes. That would get you past 21 minutes. So you would submit one code for 21 minutes or more for that 7-day period. We're going to get get a concrete answer on that, but that's my understanding at this point.
There's also some gray area around established patient, because the wording in the paperwork says for the last 3 years. So since we're not billing evaluation codes, we could, and of course this is going to require some clarification, and we should be getting a Medicare expert to come on and talk to you guys about it. But it could mean somebody that you've seen in the last 3 years. If they reach out to you, they have to establish that relationship from their end. You can't go out actively soliciting these people. But if somebody calls you and you've seen them within the last 3 years, you may be able to do an e-visit with those people.
Okay. All right. So we'll get back some information on that. In terms of secondary, we went over that. And then, bill code, G codes every 7 days. And then commercial insurances will fall in line in 2 to 3 weeks. That's the information that we have gotten. Again, some have fallen in line. Some have fallen in line sooner. So, Jeremy, why don't you talk about what you've heard from your local insurance reps?
Yeah, so I am in Tennessee, and our local Blue Cross Blue Shield and Aetna plans have already released a statement that we can bill for a telehealth visit at our regular rates using our regular codes. Now, the responsibility for the patient remains the same. They're not waiving copays or deductibles. So you have to establish a way to collect that on the front end, or let them know that they will receive a bill for that, since they're not able to come into the clinic if you're not able to capture credit cards online. We'll discuss that in just a little bit, but keep in touch with your local commercial insurance carriers, because this is changing every day. Like Travis said, everybody falls in line after Medicare makes a statement. So some are going to react faster than others. I believe TRICARE has already put out a statement that they're going to allow telehealth as well.
Yeah, I think I've seen that too. But it will take them a little while to fall in line. But the plan for us going forward, again, I don't suggest you treating patients and be saying like, hey, insurance will take care of it. You don't know that. So for us, what we need is for all of our commercial payers, we're going to ask our patients to pay $50 for 30 minutes. So essentially they're becoming a cash patient, which will change classifications in your EMR, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes too. But we're going to ask them to get reimbursed from their insurance company. So this is kind of similar to what some of our cash practices that we work with now do. So they'll say, hey, $150 a visit. You come 10 times, a $1,500 bill. I'll give you what's considered like a super bill or, a summary of payments, and you can go to your insurance carrier and get reimbursed for that. and then it kind of puts it on the patient to get reimbursed for that. But letting them know up front, I have no guarantee that Blue Cross is going to come through and pay for this for you. Now, if next week that changes, and again, we're in contact with these people every day, then that might change, and we might be able to bill for you through Blue Cross. But for right now, anybody that is doing telehealth with us, and you got to make decisions on what you want to do, but they're paying $50 cash, and then we'll give them a bill at the end. Hopefully it's only for a couple weeks, but we don't know, it might be longer. And you can go to your insurance company and just say, hey, this is what I paid for my physical therapy. How do I get reimbursed for that? Any other thoughts on that, guys, in terms of the Medicare and commercial payer stuff?
No, not from my end.
All right, good. So EMR. So I was going to go through a detailed description of what happens, but there's people listening to this call could have 20 different EMRs. WebPT is one of the most popular, most common ones. There's no popular EMR, right? Like nobody loves their EMR. It's the most common, one of the most commonly used ones. They've made it very easy for you to do telehealth. And another person that you should be in contact with is whoever is your rep at your EMR, and as well as whoever is doing your billing. Some people are doing that in-house. So they're going to have to kind of make sure that once your EMR communicates with your billing software, however you're doing that, that is going properly. If you outsource your billing, you're going to want to communicate with your outsourced biller to say, hey, we want to do telehealth. I've talked to my EMR. Here's what I need to do on this end. Are you familiar with, and do you understand what has to happen on your end in order for this stuff to get billed? So those are people that you're going to want to stay in contact with. But for us, for WebPT, it's actually pretty simple. You kind of switch. I haven't done it yet because I haven't been in the office, but you kind of switch over a couple of the things. I've had my therapist do it already that are interested in doing telehealth, and they said it's pretty easy. So hopefully your EMR has a similar stance on that.
When Travis says switch over a couple of things, it's switching over some location coding and having to add some modifiers, but you need to check with your individual EMR to find out how to switch over locations if that's a possibility within your EMR.
Great, thanks for that clarification. Okay, so now let's just kind of go over, okay, I'm going from zero, nothing. We'll assume that this is the first time you even thought about doing telehealth to treating a patient. And this is kind of how Chuck and Jeremy and I have kind of broke that down. So the first thing is communication, right? The first thing you want to handle is internal communication. You've got to communicate with your staff to see if they're interested in doing this. Hopefully your team is interested. My team showed a ton of interest for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, we're definitely interested in that. So what does that look like? So that means we had meetings with our billing and our documentation team, which is kind of like, okay, what's it got to look like in our EMR and our billing? Do we have that all set? Okay, great. And then we had communication with our treating staff. So, okay, how are we going to do telehealth? What are the easiest ways to get patients on a telehealth visit, knowing that a lot of the patients that we have might not be tech savvy? So for us, and I'll show you guys our landing page in a second, which kind of goes through it, and feel free to go on my landing page and steal all the copy off it. It's pretty straightforward. There's no rocket science there. It's just kind of what our plan is. There's lots of different ways to do this. We're going in 3 main ways, right? So if you have an iPhone, you can do FaceTime. That's probably the easiest way to do it, but not everybody has an iPhone. The next 2 that we've seen that has been most popular has been Skype and Zoom. By the way, if you bought Zoom at their stock price, I think quadrupled in the last couple of days. So that is becoming a very popular thing, and that's what we're actually using right now. I'm just waiting to get on Zoom, and the whole thing crashed because so many people have signed up for it. But to my understanding, they've done a great job of getting all their new users in, so we're not having any problems with it. So those are the 3 things that we're using. Guys, are you using any other technology or software to do your actual visits?
My plan is most likely to use Zoom.
So I signed up right now. If you don't want to purchase a professional level of Zoom, you can sign up for Ringcentral, which is a phone company that does a lot of other things, but they utilize the Zoom platform, and they're giving it away free for 3 months for healthcare providers that are helping to deal with this crisis right now. So if you sign up with that, they train you how to use it. You can have multiple lines. So if you have multiple people working from home, you could get up to 100 extensions for your business. So Travis, if you have 7 providers, each one of them will have their own account and they can schedule their own appointments and have 7 different Zooms going on at the same exact time.
Right.
And that's free for healthcare providers right now that are still treating.
Okay. Yeah, our plan is Zoom offers a free version of it, but it only allows you to be on a Zoom call for 40 minutes. Well, our appointments are 30 minutes, so that works out pretty well for us. If you guys have different plans, you might have something different. But yeah, it's important to know, like we have a paid version of Zoom as well, but only one person can use that at a time. So if you have multiple clinicians that are treating, what we've done is through our internal communication is to make sure you guys sign up for your own individual Zoom account. It's free. You've got to have your own name and your own link, and then you can communicate that with whoever your patient is so that they can get on a Zoom call and do the telehealth. So that's internal communication. You got to get agreement on if you guys want to do that and all those steps in place, which not that many. You can put it together pretty quickly. Externally, you have to communicate to people that are potential clients, right? So we already had people last week that were asking about it because we had posted on our social media. We sent out an email, hey, we're looking at doing telehealth. And we just built a really simple landing page to explain that. So you guys can go to my website and I'll put a link somewhere where you guys can get it. But basically, it's just kind of an explanation of how telehealth works for handling the video conferencing part. So we have our links here. Like, hey, if you want to get Skype and you don't have it, here it is. If you want to get a Zoom account and you want to learn how to use it, here's the link that you would use. And then this always helps me just to kind of organize my thoughts on almost really any communications. Like, what are the questions that people are going to be asking me? So we talk about this a ton with our clients. So it's kind of objection handling. So think of all the things like, oh, I want to do telehealth, but, and then fill in the blank. So like, will my insurance cover these treatments? And then how do I do the visit on my phone, tablet, computer? Will I need any equipment at home? So think about all the different things that you would ask or someone would ask you about how to do a telehealth visit, and make sure you write that down. Or you can just go to my website and steal all these ones. And I'm sure you could come up with even better questions that I have. But this is the main tool for us. And then at the bottom, before we launch this thing, what's going to be down here is a Google link to sign up for, to do a Google form. So we use that a lot in our practice because it's just a great way to aggregate a ton of information. So it puts it into a spreadsheet and it's like, okay, as soon as somebody is interested in doing telehealth, then they have to fill out, it's a really simple form, name, phone number, email, best time of day to contact you, and then we'll call you and set all this stuff up for you. So that's how we're handling the external communication. We're putting it on our social media. We're sending it out in email. We're sharing that with our referral partners so that they can share that information if they need to. Are you guys doing anything else in terms of external communication for telehealth?
No, we're just, we're staying in constant contact with our patients. Like Jeremy said, we've kind of upped our amount of communication with emails and things like that. And we're going to be communicating just in that fashion that this is going to be an option. And then as people are calling in or answering any kind of invitation for help, that'll sort of be in that script as well, that telehealth is an option.
So I've, again, stepped up my communication via email, but what I'm doing in the email, every time I'm doing a lot of video emails, so my open rates are getting a lot better. But every time I send an email, I put my Facebook and my Instagram below because I'm asking people to please go ahead and like my page because I'm going to be putting out a lot of information on my Facebook page. So I'm using it to help grow my Facebook likes and grow my Instagram as well. So as I'm putting out more and more content in the future, I already have those people liking them, but I'm going to be promoting our telehealth services on multimedia platforms. So
yeah, and you just saw me write that down because that's a really good idea. So I'm going to put that on all my emails now. You can even just say, hey, instead of jamming you guys up with 20 emails a day, just like take a look at our Facebook and our Instagram so that you guys can get up-to-date information on what's going on. Okay, so that covers that. Scheduling. So you've got to schedule these patients somehow. You can make this as easy or as complicated as you want. For us, we're still open, so we still have patients coming in. We're just going to throw them in 30-minute blocks in our EMR, which is WebPT, and just kind of throw the schedule in there. Now you've got to know, there can't be overlap. Like typically we schedule every 30 minutes. So if someone does have a telehealth visit, it either has to be butted up against another telehealth visit, making sure that there's not a patient that's coming in, a live patient, the patient's coming into your office a half hour before that, because their care is going to schedule. Right? Again, our model is about 60 to 70 minutes of treatment when they come in. Your model might be different, but just making sure that you have communication between whoever's answering the phone and scheduling these things is going to be really important. Are you guys using anything else in terms of software for scheduling?
We utilize Acuity as an online scheduler. So if you've never used Acuity, it's not that difficult to set up, but if somebody wants to go online, say you have a landing page going to a scheduler, they can pick their own time where they want that appointment. And when they pick that time, it goes away and it's not another option. So you just have to have somebody that's constantly monitoring that to let the therapist know. So we're going to try to dedicate one particular therapist as our census goes down to handling all telehealth visits, so that we can try to fill that schedule up. And as his schedule gets filled up and our census continues to drop, we can start adding other people onto that Acuity scheduler.
All right.
And Travis, I'm doing the same as you. We're open, so we're just handling it through our regular communication lines.
Yep. So this, to make it as simple as possible, it's just a little bit different rules you might have to put in for scheduling that you have to tell your entire staff, and especially the people that are answering the phones and doing the scheduling. Payment. So for Medicare, it's pretty straightforward. We just can bill them directly for now. But for your commercial payers, we have to take a $50 charge every time they do a 30-minute visit. So if you guys can see my website, at the very top, it says make a payment. So this might be a really good opportunity to go online and in your website and make a payment. So all this is we use Card Connect. So, but most, if you're accepting credit card payments in your office, then there should be some kind of link that your credit card processor can make for you. So this is just, I can take this link up here and I can send this to anybody I want. Total amount, they have to put $50 in there. I'm sure there's things that I could change to like give options for this. But I'm just going to keep it as is. Hey man, put your $50 in. Once we get your payment, then we can conduct the visit. So that's how we're handling payments. Obviously, telehealth visit people probably aren't going to come in and make that payment because they're doing telehealth for all obvious reasons. You can say you can bill them after. So don't feel like if you don't have a way to take a payment over the phone that you can't do this, you can bill them after. It's just going to take a little bit more work on the back end for your staff to make sure that you're getting paid for these visits. Are you guys doing anything different in terms of payment?
Nope.
The Card Connect makes it really easy. And I'd say if guys, if you're watching this and you're interested at all in Card Connect, just kind of put a link below or just say, hey, Card Connect below, so that we can get you that information, because it's super easy to set up. They give you a little thing to put on your website. It's very simple.
Yep. Okay, so we've covered payment. Actual treatment. So this might vary based on what your practice is, right? So obviously we're not doing manual therapy over the telehealth stuff, but for us, we have PTAs in our practice. So we give our PTA strategies for, hey, we do grade 5 mobilizations. We're very heavy into that in our practice just because of my training, but it doesn't mean that you can't accomplish manual therapy or get the same effect of manual therapy through telehealth. It's not ideal. It's not perfect, but it's the next best thing. So just kind of having your staff come up with some strategies, which we have done. So we have a spreadsheet and we're like, hey, if we can't do hamstring stretches, what do we do? Well, we give them a self hamstring stretch. I mean, that's probably the easiest, straightforward most way, but more the joint mobilization, that's where it's going to get a little bit trickier. Obviously you guys that do dry needling and that kind of stuff, that's not going to be available, but come up with almost kind of some scripts and some strategies for when patients say, oh, well, why would I do telehealth? I come in because you guys do the manual therapy type stuff. The exercise is really important too. So just making sure that people know that, kind of keeping the form on their exercise and giving them information about equipment they might need. So on our what frequently asked questions, there is a list of, hey, here's some equipment that you might want to get. We will pull up to our parking lot. We'll come down and deliver it. You don't have to come into our office. And here's the different back end stuff that we sell. So we sell a couple $100 worth of different back-end stuff in terms of double lacrosse balls and sport cords and TheraBand and all sorts of other like self-mobilization tools like foam rolls, all that stuff that you guys probably have laying around your clinic that you can kind of utilize now to give them so that they can feel like they're getting a little bit more value out of a telehealth visit. So, yeah, I don't have anything else to add on treatment. You guys have anything different? You guys run pretty similar practices to what I do. So
all I know is I hope you guys are taking some notes, because I'm filling up a page right now of things that we can do. I mean, how many people walk out of your clinic and go to the local store to buy their lacrosse balls or their TheraBand or whatever, and having that option right now. And hell, we might even deliver that stuff for them. If, you know, I want to keep my techs employed. I don't want to lay anybody off as of yet. So that may be their jobs. You know, as people want to buy that stuff, we might just have a delivery service.
yeah. And think about that too. I mean, what you're going to, when this is all done, people are going to remember you for the things that you do right now and the actions you take. And is that like a super efficient thing to do, to have someone deliver a lacrosse ball to someone's house? Absolutely not. But what that says about your practice and really your intentions, right? So you're trying to make sure that these people are staying on their plans of care and recovering. Think about the testimonials you're going to get after this is all said and done. So yeah, I think that's really important. So for us, we have all this stuff like in our offices, and we have a cheap like tote bag that we get with our logo on it. So we're saying, hey, if you want to come by, we'll come down. You know, we've got tons of gloves. So we'll have whoever comes down is going to have gloves and a mask on. So it's just, you know, is that going to be the thing that, you know, fixes this whole thing? No, but look at the optics of it, right? So we'll come down, we'll deliver it. And I got this idea from one of my clients. So there's tons of great ideas out there. We're just going to deliver it to your car. And let's say no one takes you up on that, but you get to kind of put that out there in the marketplace, and it just kind of separates you. Documentation and billing. So we kind of went over that a little bit. You're going to have to check with your individual EMR. You're going to have to check with your individual billing software. We use Cario. We use WebPT. We have everything all set up there. We've talked to who does our billing so that they're on the same page with us in doing this. It doesn't take that much. It just takes good communication. All right. You guys have anything else to add to that?
Nope. I would say, go ahead, Chuck. Sorry.
I was just going to say that really the primary purpose of all this is to stay in contact with your patients, and for others to see that you're staying in contact and you actually care for them, and that you want to be around when all this passes so that you can reap the benefit of those folks' testimonials, of their business, of things like this will actually make you stronger. So it just makes you use your noodle a little bit more, and there will be lots of good things that happen once all this passes.
And I just want to add, if you as a business owner and as a leader can navigate these waters in these times and keep your staff engaged, then when prosperity comes back, you will have a staff for life. They'll never forget this, right? They will never forget this.
Great. All right, guys, if you have questions, however you're getting this, you might get this a link through YouTube. You might get it on Facebook. You might get it in an email. Just post your comments below or respond to us. Again, NLPT is here to help you guys out. You know, the big reason that we put all this together was, you know, in some ways for situations like this. So we're here to make sure that we're helping private practice continue. And when this stuff is over, it's going to be painful, right? It's going to be pain. No one is getting through this unscathed. But I think when we come out of this, we're all going to be stronger as a result. And we hope that you guys get some value out of this. And as always, we'll see you guys at the top.